What's going on, guys? I hope you've all had a wonderful, wonderful weekend, aside from the result on Sunday, of course. We are starting this week off with some very juicy transfer news stories, so get your ears and have a listen to this. Saudi won Andre Onana in the summer. That is according to Fabrizio Romano. As good as it gets when it comes to tiers. So that's fantastic news. Ruben Amorim emergency meeting. I want to know what's all that about, and we can kind of speculate and go into the depths of that. We've got Diallo, who posted a video before on Instagram that he is back on grass training. So really excited about that. And we've also had some other little bits. Jean-Claude, not Jean-Claude Van Damme, Jean-Claude Blanc has stepped down from his role, but is still taking a little role at United. There's a lot of stuff going on around that situation, but we'll clarify that for you when we get to that story. I want to start off with this Onana news story because I think it's very interesting. So Fabrizio Romano tweeted earlier on today that there's active interest from the Saudi Pro League clubs in Andre Onana ahead of this summer transfer window. This is the genie in the bottle, everyone. This really, really is. This is the genie in the bottle that we have all been waiting for. If Manchester United do not capitalise on this, then they are complete fools. We paid, what was it, £45 million for him? Something around that price tag from Inter Milan. After having a stunning season in the Champions League, and ever since he's come, he's just been a complete disaster class. I don't need to tell you guys that. You already know it. You're all sat there probably thinking already, I would take that in a fucking heartbeat, right? I don't think there's a single United fan who wouldn't take £30 million for Onana right now. If Saudi League came in the summer, I to be honest, I'm curious to know if there actually is one out there, whether you are on TikTok watching or live on YouTube. I'm curious to know, would you sell? Would you want to keep Onana? Is there anyone out there who's still, you know what? I might take a chance on him. I reckon he'll put these mistakes behind him and he'll move on. Now, the people who are going to comment are probably fans of opposition teams like Liverpool and Arsenal and Man City, who will say, yeah, you should keep him for obvious reasons, right? But genuinely, and I might even do this. I want to go outside Old Trafford before a match day, and I want to interview as many people as I possibly can and just say to him, would you keep Andre Onana, yes or no? And see if there is just one out of about 1,000 that would go, do you know what? Yeah, I don't mind him. He's made a couple of mistakes, in which case I would then turn around to him and say, a couple of mistakes? Are you joking? This guy has made around 15 in the Premier League and 8 in Europe. You know, he's getting into the 20s for the mistakes that he's made. Whether that is a pass to delete in the Victoria Pleasing game where they go and score, whether it's when he got Casemiro sent off, whether it's the 2 free kicks against Ziyech where he lets them in, whether it's the 2 mistakes against Lyon when that happened, you know, whether it's you go to the Premier League, the weird save against Brentford, bizarre, the Gibbs White, Nottingham Forest, straight at him, goes in. I mean, there's a full catalogue of areas you can go through. He has been horrendous, absolutely horrendous. So if Saudi Arabia came in now in the summer and they said, do you want £30 million, mate? I'm absolutely grabbing that and running my life with that money and reinvesting it. Now, the question is, and this is where it's layered, we get into the second part of it, who do you go and get? Who's the next goalkeeper that you would go and buy? Because if you look at specifically the goalkeeper market at the minute, there ain't many goalkeepers that are standing out. There ain't many that are... and this is where your scouts do their due diligence and get paid for it. And maybe there is a keeper out there who no one's necessarily heard of, who they go and get, who turns out to be a fantastic one. That's happened in many cases before in the Premier League. They've gone and bought a goalkeeper who, let's say Edison, for example, who came from Portugal. There might have been a bit of noise about him, but I don't think there was the absolute uproar like there was about Alisson, let's say. So maybe there is a keeper out there. For me, specifically, I really liked that Zion Suzuki. I remember when we got linked with him a couple of years ago, and I did a video on him, and I think his value was about £10 million at the time. Dave just mentioned Kovar. Who just put Suzuki from Parma there? Paul. Fucking great minds think alike, Paul. That's what I'm talking about. Kovar is also a great shout as well. I wouldn't have sold him in the first place, Dave, to be fair. But yeah, Kovar, I don't know if is there a buyback clause for Kovar? I don't know. People of YouTube, help me out. But Zion Suzuki, is someone I would look at for sure. He's doing well for Parma, making a really good impression in Serie A. He's been praised for his performances from his players, from his coaches. And I know Parma in general at the moment in Italy are struggling as like an overall team, but Suzuki has been a shining light for them. He's been a key figure in their defence, particularly when you look at his save percentage and ability to command his area. Zion Suzuki is up there. Now, obviously, the step to Manchester United is absolutely massive. It's worlds apart, right? So I'm not saying he's ready for that now. But, I mean, United are going to try box clever in the summer. I don't think they're going to go and spend 40, 50, 60 million pound on a goalkeeper. They just haven't simply got the budget for that because there's so many other priority positions that they want to get, and that's not something they can do necessarily. So I think looking at someone like this, someone who's yet to make a mistake in the Serie A at all, so that's already an improvement. You can come in as a goalkeeper. You can get Paul, Dave, Jamie, whoever it is in here, or anyone in this YouTube chat right now. You can ask him and get him in net. If you just don't make a mistake, that's already an improvement. You know, Bayern Day, out of the 5 opportunities that he's had in 2 of the games, he's made mistakes. Onana, I've just been through his whole catalogue, right? I don't need to go back through that again. That's another one as well. So many fucking mistakes, you know what I mean? Ridiculous. So, he doesn't make mistakes. That's the first off. He's had really good performances against some of the big teams in Serie A, against Roma and Inter Milan and these kind of teams. And he is described as a goalkeeper by people I trust more and analysts and tacticians as someone to watch and considered a really top goalkeeping talent in Europe. So, yeah, I think he's been central to Parma's fight in the Italian league to keep them up. His future looks bright, man, and I think it's something we should revisit if we are going to go look at goalkeepers. People keep mentioning people like goalkeepers like Diogo Costa, right? I must have a short-term memory. When I watched him when we played Porto in the Europa League, win that 3-3 game, look at the goals he conceded at his near post. You know what I mean? That hype around him, he's more of a hype player than he is a player I would bring in. I'm not saying he's not a good goalkeeper because he has made good saves. He is fantastic with his feet. But so was Onana before he came to United. His distribution at Inter Milan was really good. From the clips I watched, of course. Now you watch him, like, what is our plan? Genuinely, what is our plan playing out from the back at the minute? There is no build-up at all. Even when he goes long, it seems to go out of play. You know? So, I just don't get the point of him being in net. Like, he can't save. He can't play out from the back. He makes mistakes. He makes the odd good save. Double save, Eze. You know, there's been a few in Europe that he's done really, really well. But apart from that, he sat there scratching your head and you're thinking, okay, well, what does he do, you know, for a goalkeeper? So I would love to hear everyone's thoughts on the goalkeeper, who you would go and buy if you have any, you know, really good shouts. I'm going to go to the YouTube first and then I'll go to TikTok. We've got the Maltese Devil saying Onana and Bayern Day both ain't good enough. Heaton was and probably still is a better goalkeeper than both of them. Bring Vitek back in pre-season and have a proper look at him. That's interesting. Suzuki's similar to Onana, makes similar errors. No, he doesn't make similar errors. I disagree. He doesn't. If you can send me a clip of him making multiple mistakes for Parma, I'd be surprised. From the bits I've watched, I'm not seeing him make a mistake. And the reports I've read as well. Tisu saying Onana has now graduated to making mistakes, talking to reporters. And Lumen saying big up as well. Big up everyone in the chat. Ramsdale. What's this Ramsdale thing? Can someone please tell me this Ramsdale? I don't get it. He's a shit goalkeeper. He's absolutely shit. He was bad when he was at Arsenal. I know Southampton are a shit team anyway, so he's going to concede a load of goals. But he's a goalkeeper for Southampton for a reason. Stop trying, you know, if you're going to buy someone on a cheap, or if you're going to spend 10, 15 million or whatever, then cool, you know, go spend it on a promising goalkeeper. I don't want Ramsdale, man. Fuck that nonsense. No chance. Verbruggen would be a very, very good shout. United are in a weird situation at the moment, right? And I'll get onto the team and Amarin's emergency meeting in a moment, but we're in a weird spot because we are in, I don't know what, 15th, 16th, somewhere around that, I think, in the league. So the majority of teams are above us in a better position and most likely in Europe. You know, from Brighton to Villa, City, Chelsea, all these teams, they're most likely going to be in Europe, right? Or the majority of them are. So then you've got to convince a player who might be playing his first season in Europe to, like, no, leave that club, join us, we've got a plan. Like, it's more difficult. I'm not saying convincing a player to join from Brighton to United would be impossible. Of course, it's not. It's United. They get a bigger wage packet, more exposure. United's just a bigger club in general. So I'm not saying that, but I mean, it makes it more difficult when we find ourselves in the position that we're currently in. Junior Gabba saying, would you take Sesko for £60 million? Anyone who has watched this channel for a long time, there's a couple in the chat. I've been one of Benjamin Sesko's biggest fans. I've spoken about Sesko for years. Even under Ole, I was watching him. Like, he's a promising, very strong, quick, deadly finisher. And there's a reason why Premier League clubs are interested in him, because he's the real deal. The issue is with Sesko, and this goes for other young players as well. Same thing with Liam Delap, who there was supposed to be a video dropping over on the weekend, which I didn't put out. Apologies. It will go out this week, I promise. There was a few more bits of editing that I wanted to do on it. But those strikers that are in that category, it's like I personally believe we need someone really experienced in that 9 who's guaranteed goal, you know, kind of 15 to 25 goals around that, probably 20 to 25, let's be honest, of that kind of caliber. You Ollie Watkins, Isaac, that level of striker that we need. I don't want to buy someone who's like, it'll be right in 2-3 years' time. Like, have we watched us with Rasmus Højlund this season? Do you want to go back down that route? You know, if he gets a bit of pressure on him, if he struggles, goes through a bit of a bad patch, we're back to square one again. So I believe he's really, really talented, but I believe there could be a bit of a transitional period there. So I want someone to come in like an Osman or a Gyökeres and just hit the ground running and start scoring goals for us, because we really struggle near the top end of the pitch. So it's just my opinion. Didn't Ragnick want Sesko? Mate, Ragnick wanted loads of talented players. It completely ignored him. Ragnick spotted, I think it was Julian Alvarez as well. Enzo Fernandez for 15 million. There's a couple that he was mentioning. So, yeah, that goalkeeper situation, with any kind of updates, our socials, Instagram, bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Sam runs the Instagram, does an incredible job on it, and it's by the minute. Anything to do with Manchester United, literally anything. If you go look at the page, you'll see, like, from news stories, from fucking the Chicken's Raw, to transfer stories, to, you know, interviews, everything is over on there. So please do drop us a follow on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Obviously, people are already on there at the minute. And subscribe to the channel, by the way, because we are on 13,871 subs at the minute. And that is because of you legends. So we're pushing towards 15k, which will be amazing. If there is anyone on TikTok who wants to click the link in the bio, that would also be incredible. Anyway, we've got this meeting that Amorim called this morning. Ruben Amorim apparently was fuming. He cancelled the meet and greet with kids and ordered an emergency first team meeting. The players were given a huge telling off. No one dared to speak. The message was clear. You have until the end of the season to fix up, or you're out, basically. That was the message that was being put out there. Now, obviously, we have no audio or videos to confirm that. These are the things that are being reported. But to be honest with you, I think some of these players have had more reality checks than Joey Essex. Like, honestly, I see these stories every single fucking year that, you know, the players have let him down. They've called a meeting. It's time for him to step up, and it just never, ever happens. Now, Roy Keane, in his analysis after the Newcastle game, described them as weak mentally and physically. So, you know, for me, at least, looking at this squad, you need 2, 3, 4 solid transfer windows to get the specific players for certain roles for Amorim, and then we can actually judge his team. No, I'm not just saying I'm not going to judge him until the 4th transfer window. That'd be stupid. But I'm saying we need to get at least 1 or 2 windows before you can actually assess his play. And you can already see a gradual improvement. People might disagree with that. Roy Keane certainly does, right? I understand it. But I do see there are minor improvements that I see in the team. The patterns of play, the structure, defensively. There are things that I like, but there are also things still there. You know, what's a manager supposed to do, for example, right? When you set a team up, 1-1, half-time, St. James's Park, I think the majority of you guys would probably agree that's a decent result, right? You go out in the second half, and there's basically 3 mistakes for the 3 goals that they score, and then they're all over us. When a goalkeeper makes a mistake like Bayern did, what the fuck do you do? You know, when Majari slips as a coach, what do you do? When you have players making the same errors, not marking the back post or front post or watching out for cutbacks, Lindelof in that game was absolutely horrendous. Horrendous. So bad. So you need to get rid of these players. You need to bring in specific players. And just try to get rid of errors, man. Like, errors are killing us so much. I've not looked at the figures, right? But maybe this is something I'll do for a video. As a team, we I'm sure of it. We must have some of the most mistakes, whether it's from build-up or in a transition or whatever. We must be right up there with some of the teams. I promise you. I feel like every game we watch, there's a mistake that's made. Genuinely. And it's down to players who nerve it and edge it, and then that runs through the team in the back line. McLeroy isn't one typically who makes mistakes, and he obviously had a bit of a slip-up on Sunday. He isn't one usually. But Onana is. Lindelof definitely is. Diallo definitely is. So it's about, with all due respect, it's about removing these players from the team. Do you know what I mean? And players having to play on natural positions. Yeah, there's no consistency in the team. You go to any team who was successful, I hate saying it, but Liverpool are just about to win the league, and what do they have? You know, their back five, 9 times out of 10, unless they've got injuries. So damn right he called an emergency meeting this morning because it's needed. Players are no way near good enough, man. Sorry, I just see the comment there. I don't want to go past it. I thought Harry Amass was good yesterday. I'm going to talk about him. There's a couple of statistics on Amass. I'll speak about him shortly. But from Amass to Ahmad, Amad Diallo posted a video before on Instagram of him training on grass following his ankle injury that he picked up in, was that early February, I want to say? I think he played the Leicester game, didn't he? And then I think he picked up an ankle injury. So he's been out for a hot minute. And oh my God, do we need Amad Diallo back. My God. It's almost like a new signing. I know that's the cliche to say with players, but having him back in the side now, he was someone when you watched the game where he did something. Bruno was doing something every game at the minute, but Amad was doing that as well at the same kind of level, having goal involvements. So I don't know if we're going to make it to the semi-finals or the final, but if we get there and Amad's available, I'm telling you that another 5-10% of a chance of us winning the game. That's how good he is. Really, really good. Where his future lies in terms of, will he be a wing back? Will he be a 10? This is the poll that I'm going to put up on YouTube. Anyone in TikTok, answer this question as well for me. Where do you prefer... Let me pull this mic back a bit because I don't want to be swallowing it. Where do you prefer Amad Diallo? So I'll put right wing back. I wish we had 2 of them. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Or a 10. I'm really curious to know what people think about this. Because I think he does his best work as the wing back. Personally, I think because there's so much emphasis on wing backs in Amarin's system, you need important players in there, and Amad is a super important player. And I've liked the majority of his performances there. It's not to say he don't do well in the 10, because he also suits that as well. I think when you watch him play his first touch, the way he's got that low sense of gravity, the way he dribbles, the way he's really good on both feet, how strong he is as well for his size. I mean, the guy's a midget and he's strong as fuck. It's crazy. Got some like freak strength. Everyone in the squad should be on a hot list if the bid comes in to sell teams. Shit's the worst. No, I disagree. I don't. With like Amad, for example, I'd keep him. I'd keep Bruno for now. Euro, these players that McLeroy I would keep. And then jury's out for the majority of them, the rest of them. I think me and Sam spoke about it the other day. Up the Rebels 89 saying right wing back. Yeah, I agree. Appreciate the likes as well, Lewis. I hope you're good, mate. Shout out to Scarlett and Meg, yeah? Anyway, so yeah, look, Amad, I think to go from not even starting a game, yeah, to now becoming like a really important player for us, almost to the level of Bruno Fernandes, I think is credit to him, because at the time I remember when Ten Hag was in and he was playing Forson ahead of him and Anthony ahead of him, and everyone's scratching their head and like, hold on a minute, I've watched this kid tear it up at Sunderland for a full season. Yeah, the fans absolutely loved him. He's bagging free kicks, scoring long-range goals, nutmegging people, and he can't get a single fucking minute on the pitch. What on earth is going on? So his whole judgment, Ten Hag's judgment, if it was him specifically, for these young players that were coming through, was just way off. Completely way off. If fans could see it and he couldn't, is that not like scream like what the fuck is going on here? So I'm happy for him. I've been one of Amad's biggest admirers for a long, long time, and to see what he's done this season and to see him when he comes back, hopefully we are still in an important stage of the season and we're near the semi-finals or final. I think he's going to be back early May. So in 2 weeks' time, he should be available. I think for the second leg of the semi-final, it was touted out or earmarked on the calendar. So if we can get there and integrate him back into the squad, it gives us, 10 times more of a chance to go and win the Europa League, which I'm praying we can do. And also, just to add to on Ahmad as well, I love how much he loves United. I love that he's as a person, he seems like a genuine, really nice guy. And he's only 21, 22 years old. He's got such a bright future. And yeah, hurry up and return Ahmad, because we need you. We really, really need you. Ten Hag took the piss playing forcing over Ahmad. Yeah, spot on. Bruno needs to leave and win something. I love him, but he's too good for it. Yeah, I thought, again, Roy Keane having his say on Bruno. And I know there are some people who, with Roy Keane, it's whatever he says, you can't disagree with him, or you're an idiot, or you disrespect the legend, or I disagree. I think some of the stuff he said about Bruno has been way too harsh. What he was saying the other day about him not really being a leader and these kind of, I don't see it. I don't really see it. He knows more about captaining the team than good old me from Eccles does, obviously. But just watching a game, he's doing as much as he possibly can and more. And he clearly needs a rest. He's absolutely knackered. He's fucked. You could tell yesterday. Like, he's doing other people's running. He's every game since January, obviously apart from the Newcastle game, he's got a goal involvement in every single game. That is how you describe. If Cristiano Ronaldo was doing those numbers, which he probably still does in the Saudi League, but I'm saying let's say from this period from January up until now, he was doing these numbers. There'd be no criticism on him. It's just because in past games, Bruno's had petulance and he's had periods like the start of the season where I think he went like 10 games without scoring or whatever. Players have bad patches, and believe it or not, Roy Keane had bad patches as a player. Roy Keane was in teams at times where they didn't fully come out and play the best, and they lost 1-0 to a team. Or everybody is human. I get it's about standards. I completely understand it. But Bruno Fernandes this season has been a fucking saviour, and I won't have it any other way. I don't care what anyone says. Just my opinion. Right, let's dive into this last news story, and then we'll get into some comments and questions and stuff. Manchester United put a statement out earlier on today saying that Jean-Claude Blanc has stepped down from his position as a director of Manchester United Football Club. However, he will continue to have an active role in the management of the club in his new position as Chief of International Football Relations and Special Advisor to the board. Now, I remember actually doing a video on Jean-Claude Blanc about his work at Juventus and PSG, and I think he started work at Juventus after they had the old scandal when they got demoted and then came back up and brought them back to financial stability and did a really good job there. And then the trophies that he overseen whilst he was at PSG, another phenomenal job there as well. But I just think we haven't heard much of him recently. We haven't seen much. He does his day-to-day stuff kind of behind closed doors. I think by stepping down, his responsibilities are basically just being refocused. I think what they want to do is they want to kind of capitalise on his strengths in international relations and be more of a strategic advisor rather than him being involved in the kind of broader day-to-day duties of a director, whatever that entails or whatever that involves. So, yeah, that is news. Do what you want with that, what it is. Ineos seem like they're constantly trying to streamline directors and executives and staff. So, if they think it's a better move, then go forth with it. Lewis saying Bruno's been class, deserved better in his career, player of his calibre. Yeah, I think it'll be sad whenever he leaves Manchester United in a couple of years' time, if we still haven't won a Premier League or a Champions League and he leaves, it will be damning that. Because I think if he was to win a Prem with us or a Champions League, I think he's a legend, and I think he's right up there. Because obviously you have legends of the club like Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, Gary Neville, untouchable, right? You talk about people who've won, I mean, Ryan Giggs has won 13 Premier League titles, I think. So they're untouchable in terms of trophies that have been won, multiple European trophies. I get it, right? But what Bruno's done for us since he's come in our worst period ever and still stood out and dragged us through the mud at times is almost, for me, equally as impressive. Because this team is so bad. This team has been for years. The recruitment has been so bad. And he's made it work. Almost. We've still won trophies, don't forget. You know, FA Cups, Europa Leagues, League Cups. Like, our banter period, we still won trophies more than a lot of clubs. You know? So I think it's about perspective with Bruno Fernandes, and I certainly ain't going to be disrespecting him for what he's done this season. I think having players like Amad, who we were speaking about before, coming back will only help ease that burden on him, because he's the only fucking guy at the minute. If we win the Europa League, it's gonna be him. If we win it, it's because of him. It's not going to be because of Garnacho. It's not going to be because of Eriksen or because of Casemiro. It's going to be because of Bruno Fernandes. Simple as that. Everyone needs a reality check. Who? Bruno? Does Bruno need a reality check? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. Pat May saying take Bruno out of the team, see what happens. Madness. Yeah, we'd be fucked. We'd be absolutely fucked. You know, let's take a quick look at it just before I head off. Let's take a look at Bruno's statistics, right? And I know the game isn't all about statistics, but I made an argument. You put Bruno in Arsenal's team, and he puts the figures out that he does for us, which I'm sure he would probably do. They'd be much closer to the title. I'll tell you that for a fact. 16 goals and 18 assists this season. He could potentially end up hitting 20 goals and 20 assists in the season. In this season. This season. That is nuts. Nearly 20 goals and 20 assists. Don't chat to me about Bruno Fernandes, man. I'll leave that as a mic drop there. I'll leave that there. Put Keane in his team and see how he gets on. He'll be fighting everyone. Yeah, he'd just be punching people's head in, wouldn't he? GM Join was saying, love Bruno. Look, really, really enjoyed today's show. I think we've vented and we've got some stuff out and we spoke about important stories. So we will have the massive Lyon preview tomorrow night. There'll be me and a couple of the lads discussing that game in full. Biggest game of the season, so hope to see as many of you there. Apart from that, we've got a video dropping on Liam Delap and how he would fit into Amarin's system, how much it's going to cost, his career so far, and other little details like that. That's the video dropping this week for anyone interested, because he apparently is our #1 target, so I wanted to see it put it out there. I am a handsome chap, so are you, Lewis. Buy me a drink first and we'll talk. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I've lost me thinking now. He's distracted me. Would you take Vanja Milinkovic, goalkeeper from Torino? I'd have to do my due diligence and watch him. I can't make a decision on him if I haven't seen him, but I will certainly keep an eye on him if he's a talented goalkeeper. Yeah. Right. Appreciate you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Don't work too hard.